It has been a roller coaster of a season for Syracuse, featuring Fran Brown's biggest moment in orange, beating Clemson, and his lowest, falling 38-3 to Duke. Now Coach Brown may have his toughest task yet on the hill, getting SU to rally around backup quarterback Ricky Collins and to gather wins in conference play. Next on the docket is SMU, a team that went to a place Syracuse dreams of going to, the playoffs. If the Orange want to make that a reality, it starts with a win in Texas. A live edition of Cuse Countdown is here to get you ready for the game, and it starts right now. Welcome into a live edition of Cuse Countdown, getting you ready for Syracuse and SMU. I'm AJ Myers, joined alongside Milo, Hoffman, and Ben Chadwick. We will be with you on Orange Press Pass after the game at 8 p.m. So guys, you better get comfy.
AJ, I have my pillow. I am ready to be here for the next, 7-8 hours. It's going to be a fun time.
I feel like a businessman going on a flight. I'm ready to take a nap.
First class flight, maybe?
First class, yeah, absolutely.
Well, it wasn't really a first class flight for Syracuse last week against Duke. They got hammered by the Blue Devils, 38-3. Milo, what surprised you the most from this performance?
AJ, everything surprised me. I was not expecting this to be this much of an onslaught for Syracuse and Duke. I mean, 38-3, the largest margin of defeat in the Fran Brown era for Syracuse. It's family weekend. You're coming off maybe the best win in Fran Brown's tenure against Clemson in week number 4. So, Ben, I was surprised with everything. That is just not how Syracuse should have came out against Duke, especially in family weekend. Everyone's there with the prospects and everyone involved.
Well, Milo, for me, this was less of a surprise as it was a realization. And that realization was that this was a wake-up call for not Syracuse football fans. That's right, folks. Get used to seeing this team. Syracuse football is not waking up anytime soon. Maybe in 2026 they will. Not this year. Look at that loss. I mean, that is the team that you need to get used to seeing for the rest of the season. There's 4, maybe 5 other teams on this schedule that are better than Duke football. And if you think Syracuse is going to have any chance against those teams, you're sadly mistaken.
Ben, that is a bold statement. We got to get used to these type of performances?
Absolutely. We absolutely do. Maybe not 38-3 every single game, but losses nonetheless.
That's not a fun time to be a Syracuse fan at all. I mean, are you kidding me? I don't want to get used to that.
No, and fans don't also want to get used to a Ricky Collins performance that they saw last week. He completed just 64% of his passes. It was a tough day for his first ever start on a college football field.
It absolutely was, AJ. I've said it once. I will say it again too, Milo. Ricky Collins, there's a reason that they brought in Steve Angeli after they named Ricky Collins the starter. They brought in Ricky Collins from LSU. They saw him practice. They said, nope, we got to get another guy. This cannot be our starting quarterback the rest of the way. I mean, Trevor Pena left for Penn State because he caught passes from Ricky Collins in practice. I mean, the guy plays like I do in Madden. He locks on to his first read, and he is throwing to that receiver no matter what. Sometimes it works out, but sometimes it does not, and that's what we saw against Duke.
Yeah, I mean, after the game, you said it, the eyes there. Ricky Collins was fooling absolutely nobody against Duke, and you look at this on your screen, I feel like it's a little bit unfair to compare Steve Angeli to Ricky Collins against Duke. The numbers aren't that different, but then you look at the QB rating. I mean, my goodness, Steve Angeli up there, 54.9. Ricky Collins at 19.8. That's just drastic. And Collins just doesn't have that leadership ability to take the teams under his arms and really lead them to victory. Steve Angeli had that.
I think it's interesting that you guys mentioned that he's not Steve Angeli, but I think it's also interesting to see what level up we could see today from Ricky Collins after what was a really poor first start.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. Ricky Collins has had the entire week to, get ready for SMU. Last week he had the entire week, though, to get ready against Duke, and that just didn't happen. It didn't go his way. So, I mean, I don't know. You got the week to practice, but is he really going to have success?
I think it'll be certainly interesting to see if Ricky Collins can get any better today against the Mustangs. And we're super excited to now be joined by Hudson Ridley, who is in Dallas. Hudson, how's the Lone Star State treating you so far?
Guys, it's great down here. The weather has been fantastic. Very hot. We went to the Texas State Fair today. It was a tremendous day.
And well, Hudson, we were just talking about Ricky Collins. What do you think needs to change the most in his game today for the Orange to get a win?
Yeah, well, the biggest issue with his game right now is his decisiveness. Last week in SU's 38-3 loss to Duke, what he struggled with was making quick reads. He stared down receivers, and when you look down guys for a long time, DBs will jump routes. He doesn't have the arm strength to beat those late throws, so what he needs to do today is get a little bit more decisive and a little bit more comfortable in the offense. If the Orange can tailor an offense around him and use Yasin Willis a little bit more, that should be good to take advantage of what has been a pretty weak SMU secondary this year.
Hey Hudson, thank you so much for joining us from the Lone Star State, like AJ said. Now, if Syracuse wants to pick out a win today against SMU, what's more important, the run game or the pass game?
Well, right now, guys, it's the pass game that needs to be important for Syracuse. SMU has the worst secondary currently in the ACC in terms of yards given up through the air per game. Yasin Willis was not used a little last week, so what they need to do is at least soften up the defense with the run game, but the biggest issue does come with trusting Ricky Collins. If you want a secondary for the rest of ACC play that is going to give you a chance to show up as a quarterback, it is SMU's secondary today.
And Hudson, I want to flip it to the other side of the ball right here as well. I'm curious, how do you think this Syracuse D-line fares against such an elite SMU pass blocking unit?
Well, right now I don't feel good about SU's defensive line at all. Dion Wilson has had his injury history, and that rap sheet is getting pretty long. Kevin Chobody has also had his weaknesses in the past few weeks. David Reese and David Omopariola have been basically non-factors this year, combining for just one sack between the two of them. And this is the highest graded pass blocking offensive line in the country right now. SMU has a grade on PFF of 90 pass blocking, so it's going to be very difficult for a defensive line that has struggled against the likes of Colgate and UConn to go up against an SMU line that's been tremendous across the board in many different places, guys.
Joining us, and stay cool down there in Dallas during the game. Well, when we come back here on Cuse Countdown, the guys are going to examine two aspects that must change today for Fran Brown if they want to have success. Plus, there is an interesting coaching development heating up in Texas, and it could move up north to Syracuse. We'll have all that on the other side. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown. AJ Myers joined alongside Milo, Hoffman, and Ben Chadwick. We're just a little over 20 minutes away from kickoff between Syracuse and SMU in Dallas. Guys, if the Orange want to get a win today, there's no argument that the turnovers need to change for the Orange. Ricky Collins has 2 interceptions in his young SU career. But in total, Fran Brown's group has turned the ball over 9 times.
I mean, you can't beat yourself, right, AJ? That's how you lose games. You beat yourself, and that's exactly what Syracuse has been doing to start out the season. You're talking about Ricky Collins, but what about Jonte Cook, SU's leading receiver against Duke? Also had 2 fumbles. I mean, that's unacceptable, especially at the wide receiver position. You got to keep the ball in your grasp. So against SMU, there is no way Syracuse is going to win if they have more turnovers than the Mustangs.
Well, Milo, I want to start with Ricky Collins here because I think he's playing scared back there. Is it partly because he's in a very young career? He just made his first career start. Second career start is coming up in 20 minutes, right? Obviously, he's playing a bit nervous like that, but the O-line has not looked great when it comes to protecting him. So obviously, he's snapping the ball, and he's immediately looking at the pass rushers. He's not looking at his receivers, and if he is, he's looking at one receiver, like I mentioned before, because that's who he locks onto. But that's my thing for Ricky Collins is it's a recipe for disaster when it comes to him with that O-line. And you brought up Jonte Cook as well. I mean, he had those 2 fumbles. He has 3 total on the season. I'm considering a sort of one-off. You know how Kyle McCord played against Pitt and he just had an awful game, but he bounced right back? That's what I'm considering right now for Jonte Cook. This is a one-off game. It's not something we have to worry about for the future.
You don't think it's something we have to worry about, even though this team has turned the ball over 9 times already this season?
Well, he didn't struggle with fumbles at all at Texas. He had 0 fumbles in his 2-year career at Texas.
Yeah, but
he just had a couple of
Jonte Cook doesn't have all 9 of those turnovers.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You
understand.
can't turn the ball over twice if you're Jonte Cook. And then you saw on your screen a couple moments ago, no turnovers against Clemson. What was that? Probably the best game Syracuse has played all year long. So there's no coincidence that when you don't turn the ball over, you play much better.
Well, under Fran Brown, Syracuse has had one of the highest passing teams in the country. Understandably so when you have a quarterback like Kyle McCord and Steve Angeli, but now with Ricky Collins, I feel like Fran Brown has to adjust the playbook.
I think you said it perfectly right there, AJ. Fran Brown absolutely has to adjust the playbook, Milo. And I thought they should have done it last year with Kyle McCord, one of the best passers in the entire nation. But they still had LaQuinn Allen. He's still a running back in the NFL right now, Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought they should have ran the ball last year more. In the first 4 games with Steve Angeli as their quarterback, I thought they should have run the ball more. Now with Ricky Collins as your starting quarterback, you should be running the ball 65-70% of the time. It makes no sense.
But if Ricky Collins isn't trusted as a quarterback, that just makes it so much harder on the running backs. Defenses are going to expect the team to run the ball, and you're not getting your wide receivers like Darrell Gill, Justice Ross-Simmons, Jonte Cook involved as much. So defenses are going to know Syracuse is going to try to run the ball. So it's just going to be much tougher to be successful on that front of the game. And it just, you got to pass to run the ball. And that's just how football works.
What has really bugged me, and I asked Fran Brown after the game against Duke, is Yasin Willis against Duke, he jumped over a player. He was off to a great start. But then Fran Brown never went back to him, and I asked him, why didn't you go back to Fran Brown? He was honest. He said, oh, we should have. That's on me. That's also something we heard last year when it was with LaQuinn Allen. Oh, we got to get LaQuinn Allen the ball more. And we've heard it more this year, too, that he wants to give Yasin Willis the ball more. What's the breakup there? Why isn't he getting the ball more?
I think it's a little bit of, Syracuse is trying to find their identity. Syracuse doesn't know exactly what is most successful for them overall. So, as the season goes along, you start to realize what Syracuse is good at, what SU is not good at. And over time, hopefully the Orange kind of establish an identity to, develop as the campaign goes along.
And yeah, AJ, I love that you brought up what Fran Brown has been saying, too, because it makes no sense. He keeps saying what we want to hear, right? Hey,
Right.
yeah, we
Will
got to run the
Nixon,
ball.
too. He's pretty good.
Exactly. He's agreeing with us, both of them. Will Nixon and Yasin Willis. 11 carries against Duke for Yasin Willis when he averaged 6 yards per carry. It genuinely makes no sense at all.
It feels like it should be a 20-20 balance
Yes,
between both.
absolutely.
It could be.
But
Absolutely.
also, those 7 yards per carry, a little bit misleading because he had that 35-yard rush. Other than that, just 10 rushes.
He could
for
have
under
more
30
35-yard
yards.
rushes if you give him the ball more.
Well, it is no understatement that college football has become the wild, wild west. From NIL money to massive contract buyouts, it makes it important to revisit what Fran Brown said when he arrived on campus.
Now listen, guys, like I told you earlier, I'm from Camden. So every coach get up here and say, this is home, I'm never going nowhere, and then 3 years later, he trying to get a new job or a new contract. Guys, I come from welfare, baby. I'm good. I don't got to have that family first card no more. I'm here for life. I promise you that.
So Fran Brown said he's here for life. That is right when he arrived here on campus. We know he has the ties to the Northeast. That's helped him recruiting-wise. But he also has some SEC blood in him. Would he ever consider leaving if a big offer came?
I mean, I don't know how you could say that and then leave, right? I mean, you're here for life. Of course, people, don't tend to stay true to their word all of the time. But he's here for life. I want a gig like that. I want to stay somewhere for life. But I mean, Fran Brown, I think, is trying to build a culture here at Syracuse. And you can't just do that for 2-3 years and then dip. That's not how it works. You got to build a culture. You want to stay. He's getting the recruiting in. He's one of the best recruiters in the nation. So I think Fran Brown is going to end up staying here for the foreseeable future because why would he leave? He loves it here, like you heard in that little sound clip.
Why would he leave? Because the SEC is the best football conference in the country. That's why he would leave. And when you bring up, oh, I'm here for life, people have said that over and over and over again. Not to get us completely off track, Kyrie Irving said that when he joined the Boston Celtics. He is gone. I mean, he left after a single year with the Boston Celtics. Fran Brown, look, knowing the guy, I think that he actually means that when he says that, right? But if that offer comes by, one of those top 5, top 10 jobs in the country, Syracuse is not that. And the logical answer is to leave for the SEC.
Ben, I feel like you're still salty about the Kyrie Irving.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Well, SMU head coach Rhett Lashley finds himself in a similar position to Fran Brown, guiding a struggling program to tons of success. The Mustangs made the playoffs last year, and with that comes plenty of interest, especially when your hometown Arkansas has an opening. Coach Sam Pittman was dismissed from the Razorbacks Sunday, and Lashley was pressed on the vacancy.
I'm happy. I've got a great job. I think when your name gets linked to jobs, it means your team has done well, the program has done well. So it's a compliment to what our staff and administration and players have built over the last 3+ years. But I haven't given it any thought because there hasn't been anything to give thought to.
All right, similar thoughts to Fran Brown. Lashley said he's happy with his position here, but he's from Arkansas, and there is going to be an opening there in the offseason.
There's a lot to speculate about him being from Arkansas. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to break down when it comes to that, Milo. But regardless, SMU is a fantastic job, a better job than Syracuse when it comes to a head coaching job in football. But when you look at it just in general, the SEC, should Lashley leave for Arkansas? I would say not. If another SEC comes calling, though, and another SEC team comes calling, 4 of the 5 top jobs in the country are SEC, barring Ohio State from that. I would say 16 of the top 30 jobs are SEC, and there's 16 teams in the SEC. That just shows how powerful that conference is, how much money there is, the facilities. I think almost any coach would leave for the SEC if they could.
Loyalty needs to return to college football. I mean, it's unbelievable. You take SMU to the college football playoffs last year. I know the game against Penn State didn't go as planned. I mean, Rhett Lashley has been doing really well with the Mustangs so far, and I think there's no reason he should leave. You look at the numbers, kind of similar to Fran Brown. I think they're in a similar spot. Yep. Fran Brown should stay, in my opinion, so I think Rhett Lashley should also stay with the Mustangs.
Some interesting big picture topics to keep in mind, but we are less than 20 minutes until kickoff between Syracuse and SMU. And on the other side, the guys will break down the tough start that the Mustangs have had to the season. That's next on Cuse Countdown. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown here on Citrus TV. AJ Myers joined alongside Milo, Hoffman, and Ben Chadwick, getting you ready for Syracuse and SMU, which is a little over 10 minutes away from kickoff. Guys, do you know what the last time Syracuse was in Dallas, what happened?
They won national championship?
They did. 1960, they won a national championship. So some interesting stuff when the Orange are down in the Lone Star State. But in terms of SMU, Coach Lashley, the problem is for him now is regaining the success that the Mustangs had last year. They made it to the playoffs, but this year's been a bit of a struggle from the get-go.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start for SMU, right? I mean, you're 2-2. You're coming off a college football playoff appearance like we were talking about before. But if you look at the numbers between this year and last year with the Mustangs, they're actually kind of similar. I mean, the points per game slightly below. The passing yards are actually above last year. So I don't really know what to take from this Mustangs team from this year to last year. It was such a promising campaign for the Mustangs a year ago. And this year, people are saying, oh, it's been a disappointment. But really, has it been that much of a disappointment? I mean, you still have your quarterback in Kevin Jennings. You have a couple of those sole players that are still in position. I don't really know if it's been that much different.
Well, Milo, they're sobering up from last year's highs. Don't get me wrong. They really are. But looking big picture, this program is so back. SMU is so back when it comes to football. I mean, they had the death penalty in 1987, and ever since then, they've never had double-digit wins in a season. What have they done the last 2 seasons? 11 wins, 11 wins. I mean, that is unheard of stuff that Rhett Lashley is doing with this program. Now, when it comes to this season, do I think they're going to be an 11-win team? No. Probably not, right? Probably not. But still, overall for the program, they are in a fantastic spot moving forward.
And that's credit to what Rhett Lashley has done to really turn this thing around. And he also has got a good quarterback down there in Kevin Jennings. I mean, this guy can really throw the football.
he's good, but he's not as good as last year. He can throw the football, don't get me wrong, but his confidence was a bit shot. Milo, you brought up the Penn State loss that they had last year in the college football playoff. He was rattled in Happy Valley. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was a bad loss. He had 3 interceptions. It wasn't good. This year, he's shown flashes of what he was last year, but those flashes have come against Missouri State and Texas A&M Commerce. It's not exactly the greatest competition to be having your best moments in. Like, he's trying way too hard to be the hero when he doesn't need to be. We talked to Hudson before, and he mentioned it. PFF's highest graded pass blocking offensive line is SMU, and they're in front of him, giving him all day to throw the football. He can read the defense, go through his progressions. He has all day to do that.
I agree with you. I mean, he's been okay. Like you said, some would say mid, but like you said, the best offensive line in the entire nation, you got to do more with that. If you're Jennings, you got to take advantage of having that, because that is such a, not every quarterback has that in the entire nation. So he had the numbers last year, all ACC. He's off to an okay start with SMU this year, but I think Jennings sort of, you know, it relates to the entire Mustangs team as a whole. They've just not been as good from this year to last year. It's been very different.
Well, it's tough in college football to maintain that talent and keep it going year by year. After 3 or 4 years, you get a whole new squad in for your team. So it's tough for teams to maintain that. But like I said, they had 11 wins 2 years ago, 11 wins last year. Maybe they don't reach that this year, but they are still a very solid squad, and I think they're going to be an ECC powerhouse moving forward.
I think there's absolutely no way SMU is going to win 11 this year. I think there's absolutely just no shot and no college football playoffs in their future as well.
Against Duke, Syracuse allowed over 230 yards on the ground. SMU tailback TJ Harden has the horsepower to create serious problems for SU, yet the Orange may have the brakes to slow him down, and freshman linebacker Antonio Delore. Ben and Milo have more.
Hey, thanks, AJ. We have an elite matchup between a couple of showstoppers here, Milo. We got Antoine Delorier, the linebacker from Syracuse, TJ Harden, the running back from SMU. Harden is who I want to talk about first. Let's check out this game he had against Missouri State. This first initial run, boom, laying the hit on the linebacker, and he's off to the races, outrunning this DB right here. 20-10 touchdown Mustangs. Let's check out another angle of this as well. You see him go out up the middle. There's a wide open hole right there. He chooses to hit that linebacker and then advances through the hole. That's like some Cam Scatterbo stuff. He is insane, but he still decides to take the contact and then get the touchdown. Do this in the run game. You can do it in the pass game as well. It's a 5 to 10 yard check down, and look at him go. Pause it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders that mean absolutely nothing to TJ Harden. Like a knife through butter as we play on, they all just slip right off of him. He is a bruiser. He was picking apart the TCU defense, and I expect him to do something similar against the Orange in just a few moments.
He's looking like prime Marshawn Lynch on the Seattle Seahawks over there in 2014, 2015. But he's going to have a challenge to go against on the Syracuse side. Like Ben already said, Antoine Delorier, one of the best up-and-coming linebackers in the ACC. He did it in week 2 against UConn. The ability to read the play there in the backfield, put his hands up, and then he could also do this. Punch the ball out, one of 2 forced fumbles this season, which is tied for the most in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Looking like Mike Tyson right there. A big turnover. Look at that. I'm going to dodge that right here. You're not Mike Tyson. He's also got a little bit of, I don't know, Aaron Donald in the backfield, taking down Darian Mensah of Duke last week. Antoine Delorier is an absolute beast. There's no other way to put it. Well, we're just about 10 minutes away from kickoff here between Syracuse and SMU. We're going to be making our predictions on the other side. Stick right here.
Welcome back into our Citrus TV studios. AJ Myers joined alongside Milo, Hoffman, and Ben Chadwick. Guys, it's almost kickoff time between Syracuse and SMU. It should be a really good one between the Orange and Mustangs, an ACC matchup there. The first one between Syracuse and SMU in terms of football. But after this SMU game, Syracuse, I think they get a much-needed bye week, but then the schedule gets no easier.
I mean, my goodness. Syracuse, we knew it going into the season. It was going to be one of the hardest schedules in the entire conference. They took down Clemson, which I just completely did not expect. I mean, but in a couple weeks, it got number 3 Miami, followed up against number 21 Notre Dame. And oh, by the way, those are both away. There are a couple of games that SU just absolutely has to take. One of them stands out. It's UNC getting absolutely dominated by Clemson right now against Bill Belichick. SU has no chance but to take that win if they want any chance at making a bowl game.
That's definitely a winnable game, don't get me wrong, but there aren't too many of them left on this schedule, like you kind of just alluded to there, Milo. I see Pittsburgh, I see North Carolina, and I see Boston College as winnable games, and if I'm predicting the rest of the season, I think Syracuse wins 2 more games total. I don't think they win too many more, and I don't know if they make a bowl game either. This schedule is incredibly tough.
It certainly is, but didn't they buy a win against Clemson? Isn't that a win that nobody thought they would get?
They bought a win against Clemson, but they lost their starting quarterback, so you trade it off.
There's no shot without Steven.
Yeah.
And you did see on that schedule, it's all ACC teams outside of Notre Dame, and here is a glance at those ACC standings. And it's an ACC conference that is pretty strong. Not too many ranked teams, but there's still plenty of teams without a loss.
Yeah, man, Miami just sucks, don't they? I mean, they're 4-0, but I mean, they are nowhere to be found in these ACC standings. No, they have not played an ACC game yet, which is why they're so low. But yeah, the ACC, it's like it always is in college football, isn't it? It's solid. You know, there's always going to be 2 to 3 conferences better than it. These teams are okay. They're in the low rankings. You have the one Miami powerhouse, but other than that, it's the ACC as we've always known and loved it.
I look at Georgia Tech there at the top. Do people really trust Georgia Tech to actually be a good football program? I mean, now it's been 2 years in a row where they've been respectable. Obviously ranked at number 17 right now. But overall, I don't trust Georgia Tech, and they're at the top. So that just goes to show you where the ACC is in the entire college football landscape.
I'm excited for that Syracuse-Georgia Tech game. There's some beef between the head coaches. Yeah. That could be a really tasty affair in a few weeks. But back to today, Syracuse, SMU. Milo, what is your key for a Syracuse win?
Syracuse needs to outscore SMU in the first quarter. I mean, there's no way Syracuse is going to win if they don't get off to a hot start. We saw what happened against Duke. They were outscored 24-3 in the first half. But I'm even going a step further. Outscore SMU in the first quarter to even give your chance a little chance to win the game.
I think Syracuse needs to just put pressure on Kevin Jennings. Easier said than done. I mentioned it before, the highest graded pass blocking goal line according to PFF. Blitz him, right? Yeah. The 4-man rush is not going to work against this SMU offensive line. Put pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. He wants to be the hero. Force him to be the hero, and that's how you win this football game.
I'm going to say what we talked about earlier. 20-plus carries from Yasin Willis. You got to run the football. I don't trust Ricky Collins throwing it. Ben, I'm going to go to you first. Score prediction. Does Syracuse get a win here on the road in Dallas?
I kind of teased it before saying there's 3 more winnable games. I didn't bring up SMU as one of those 3 teams, Milo. No, Syracuse does not get the win today. 34-24 is my prediction for this one. SMU is just too good. The offense is going to be too much for Syracuse to handle. They won't be able to keep up.
I don't think SMU puts up too many points, but I also don't think Syracuse puts up too many points. Give me the Mustangs 24-14. I just don't see any world in which Ricky Collins scores more than 2 touchdowns with Syracuse. So another low-scoring affair for the new starting quarterback.
Milo, I am on the other side. I got tons of points in this one. Give me 42-38. SMU, unfortunately. I think it's going to be a high-scoring one. I think the Mustangs get the win. But we got to look at our standings, too, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. Let's go. How about this, guys? We're at the top of the standings. Let's make it a goal by the end of the year. Yes. We are still right up there. If I finish third, I'd be okay with that, as long as my 2 great analysts are right beside me.
Take over the podium.
One. Come on. I'm competing with you guys.
We got to take over the podium. I'm
with
AJ.
It's a team.
Hold the top 3. Yeah, exactly. Like that Ford versus Ferrari movie. Just get all 3 cars across the finish line at the same time.
Yes, certainly, without a doubt. And well, it'll be interesting. There's plenty of more games to come up. Hopefully, we can do pretty well today. It's going to be a really good one. The Heat, too, we haven't mentioned anything about that.
Yeah.
Hudson did say it was pretty hot. This is going to be the first really hot game that Syracuse is playing in. It was hot against Clemson, but I think this is going to be a new record for the how hot it will be.
It's true, and I'm curious to see how that affects someone like Ricky Collins. I mean, he played at LSU Limited. It's hot over there down in Death Valley.
It absolutely. I mean, I'm sweating in our AC studio right now. I can't imagine how I'd be in Texas.
Well, it'll certainly be an interesting one. We will be back with you at 8 p.m. for Orange Press Pass. But until then, enjoy the game. It's Syracuse at SMU.